Hello and welcome to LearnGermanGames.com, where you get to learn German while playing a game with me, Samir, your teacher. And to help you learn, make sure to read the subtitles below. The German line is in yellow and the English one is in blue. And now let's start with the game. So last time we were playing here with this girl called Bella, trying to find a knife to cut the cake. I know it sounds like a silly story, but it's actually quite interesting, and we're going to find out a bit more about it today. Last time we did not find it with the cupcakes, so let's see. Maybe we can ask
Wo würde ich denn?
the girl. Also lass uns die Schwester hier fragen.
Weißt du, wo Mamas Messer ist, Rocky?
Wenn ich das wüsste, würden wir jetzt alle Kuchen essen.
Ach so. So, if you're new to my videos, the way this works is that we play a little bit and then we explain a little bit. This way we can learn while having some fun. So the mother is actually wondering here what's going on. Oh, also wo? So where? Make sure that you always remember this relatively confusing word. Even advanced German learners, after a while, they still don't get the hang of this word because it looks like the English also, but it does not mean also. Yeah, it means so. Also wo? Nein, hier nicht. No, here not. Wo würde ich denn? Where would I? Ich weiß noch, ich hatte es und dann? I remember I had it and then? Another tricky verb here, especially if you're a beginner, you know that this is the verb to know. Wissen. But it also has a very common second meaning, which is to remember, and you will know the difference in context. This is why it's so important to learn in a way that actually you have some idea about what's going on around you. This is why I like to teach using games because it gives you actual context similar to real life. And now I'm not going to be the only one actually doing all the translations. My amazing patrons are here with us, and they're going to be reading and making mistakes just like everybody makes mistakes, and I'm gonna be correcting them and help you get over those mistakes because some of you will probably be doing the same ones, right? All right, let's start with Colleen. Colleen, bitteschön, du bist die Mutter.
Weißt du, wo Mama's Messer ist, Rocky? Do you know where Mom's knife is, Rocky?
Genau. So just like we learned last time, a bit of review here. Das Messer. The knife, you can see here, I'm adding the vocabulary list if you're following us live and this is new to you. All right, now we have the little girl. Kimberly, you're the little girl.
Wenn ich das wusste, würden wir jetzt alle Kuchen essen. If I knew that, then we would all be eating cake right now.
Yeah, exactly. I can feel her pain. And here we get to a very important grammatical rule in German where the conjugated verb is in the second position. And you might be wondering, hey, this is not the second word. And this is why I said the second position. The first position is actually occupied by the first clause, which if you're not too familiar with the grammar terminology, this is like part of the sentence, yeah? So if I knew that, think of it conceptually, this is one thing, yeah? This is the first part, and the comma here actually helps you know that this is the first part of the sentence, yeah? And then you get the verb. So because the conjugated verb has to be in the second position, this is why we follow it by the subject. So instead of saying, if I knew that we would, we have to say, would we, to keep the conjugated verb in the second position, yeah? All right, Linda, you're going to be the mother.
Das ist so frustrierend. That's so frustrating.
Ja, und Deutsch kann auch manchmal ein bisschen frustrierend sein. Also, wir spielen weiter. Und jetzt
würde ich
fragen
denn-
wir den Vater.
Es gibt wahrscheinlich kein anderes Messer, das wir benutzen könnten.
Doch, ich hab eins. Aber deine Mama hat ein besonderes mitgebracht. Sie will, dass an deinem Ehrentag alles perfekt ist.
Natürlich. Linda, bitteschön.
Wo würde ich denn? Where is it then?
Fast.
Where?
Almost.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where would I?
Where would I? By the way, I also said a word right now which is a little bit confusing because it sounds like fast, but this is the German word for almost. And you can tell that I was talking in German because the frame around me became yellow. So I said fast.
Es gibt wahrscheinlich kein anderes Messer, das wir benutzen könnten. Is there perhaps not another knife that we could use?
Yeah. Notice here the ES at the end of other. This is because a knife is neuter. You can tell that from the color here I'm showing you. And the reason we do add an ES, it's because from the article before it, we cannot tell if this is neuter or masculine, and this is why we use the adjective to help us out. That's the logic behind all these endings in German. And now we come to the father. Stefano, you're the father.
Doch, ich habe eins, aber deine Mama hat ein besonderes mitgebracht. Well, I have one, but your mom brought a special one.
Ja, das ist richtig. And the important verb here is to bring with. I know in English it doesn't really make a lot of sense to always use that with. It's not really part of a verb. But in German, it makes a lot of sense and you get used to it the more you hear it. And notice here also I'm showing you the conjugation on the left. The difference between the two verbs is highlighted in white. If that's also a bit confusing for you, always remember that you can ask me questions either live right now if you're watching or later in the comments when you watch this video later.
So besonderes is special in this?
Yeah. And the reason we have it capitalized is because we're talking about a special thing. This is actually a special thing about German as well. Whenever you want to say a special thing or a big thing in German, you don't have to say the word for thing. You just make the adjective into a noun by capitalizing it and using it as if it's a noun. Yeah. So just the fact that it's capital and you have all the usual endings that you would add to a noun makes it possible to do that, to not actually use the word for thing.
Sie will, dass an deinem Ehrentag alles perfekt ist. She wants that everything is perfect on your special day.
Yeah, it literally means your honor day, but this is the equivalent of special day. Notice here the green part is telling you that we have the dative case and a day is masculine in German. This is why we have the M here. Combination of the fact that we have dative with a masculine noun. Also notice another important feature of German is in the dependent clause here, which in this case, whenever you see this word, to explain it more easily, always remember to keep the conjugated verb at the end. So if you're speaking, you want to say, she wants that. Hold that verb in your mind until the very end. Say everything else you want to say, and then say the verb. This could take a bit of practice, might even take you a few years to master that. But if you actually master it, Germans will be impressed. Okay, wir reden mal mit dem Opa.
Wo würde ich denn...
Opa Biestender?
Warum bist du so grummelig, Opa?
Warum bist du so grummelig, Opa?
Weil wir etwas feiern, das alles in den Schmutz zieht, wofür dieses Dorf einmal stand.
Hm. Linda, bitte.
Nein, hier nicht. No, not here. Wo würde ich denn? Where would I have
Ja.
then?
Opa Beastender? Grandpa Beastender?
Yeah, you're gonna see this word a lot. This is just like their last name. Yeah, it's not a German word. JJ, you're gonna be the grandfather. The question is actually here.
Warum bist du so
No,
grummelig?
this is oh yeah,
Opa.
no, this is your turn. That's true. Yeah. Sorry.
Why are you so grumpy, Grandpa?
Gute Frage.
Ja.
Weil wir etwas feiern, das alles in den Schmutz zieht, wofür dieses Dorf einmal stand. While we're celebrating something, that everything is in dirt, or which is, I really don't know this one.
Because we're celebrating something that drags everything this village once stood for into the dirt. Yeah, it's a bit complex, but it's worth actually analyzing a little bit. I think the confusing part was the verb at the end because it's the past tense of the stand, stehen. Yeah. So a lot of the times, whenever you see a very long sentence in German and you're a bit confused, it would help you to look at the end of the sentence first and find the key word. And most of the time, the key word is the verb to see what's actually going on in the sentence. So to translate it literally, because we something celebrate that all in the dirt pulls. So that everybody, so it pulls everybody in the dirt. Yeah. This is another important verb here. Let's actually add it. Ziehen. Wofür dieses Dorf einmal stand. For which this village once upon a time stood, as in it stood for that thing.
Hey, Samir, I have a question going
Yeah.
back to the word besonderes.
Yeah.
Is it true? I heard a rumor
Yeah.
that when you make adjectives and verbs into nouns in German, that all of those are actually neuter as far as the
Yes.
gender goes.
Correct.
Is that true, or is that one of those 80% rules, like
Oh, well,
gender?
I have a rule about rules and languages, which is a rule and a language is never really a rule. It's a rule.
Yeah.
But this is one of those rules that you can say that yes, it's true. But if there is an exception somewhere, I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah. But I haven't seen
Okay,
one,
thanks.
is what I'm trying to tell you.
Ja,
Ja.
danke.
Also, nächste Frage. Ja, ich bin mir nicht so sicher, was dieses Meidenmal betrifft.
Ja, um ehrlich zu sein, bin ich mir auch nicht so sicher, was dieses Meidenmal betrifft.
Dann Köpfe, Mädchen. Zeig ihnen, aus welchem Holz du geschnitzt bist.
Ich hoffe, dass du das Mädchen nicht mit Unsinn verwirrst, Bormel.
Pauline, bitteschön.
Ja, um ehrlich zu sein, bin ich mir auch nicht so sicher, was dieses Maidenmal betrifft. Yes, I am not sure. I am not so sure that what this maiden feast is concerning.
Ja. So by the way, if you're watching this live, try to translate yourself as well. And if you're watching this video later, pause and take your time, try to translate, yeah? So to help you out with this, let me translate it literally. So yes, to be honest, very useful sentence here, yeah? Ehrlich zu sein, to be honest. Again here, notice the conjugated verb is in the second position, yeah? You have the first part and the second part. So to be honest, am I also not sure what this Maiden's Feast concerns, as in regarding this Maiden's Feast. This is a way to say regarding or concerning Maiden's Feast. So they keep talking about the Maiden's Feast. Don't be confused by that. This is part of the story of the game. We will discover it with time after a few sessions.
Dann Kämpfer, Mädchen, zeigt ihnen, aus welchem Holz du geschnitzt bist. Then fight, girl. Show them from what wood you have been carved or cut.
Yeah. So it's very important, especially as a beginner, not to develop bad habit and start ignoring those umlauts. Yeah. So you have to say an Kämpfe, Mädchen. Yeah. And don't be afraid to exaggerate your pronunciation, just to train your muscles to make that motion that maybe you're not used to in your native language. Yeah. Another very common verb here is the verb to show. We have two verbs in the imperative mode, which means giving somebody a command here. He's telling her to fight and to show. Kämpfe und zeige. But here, he, just like I said last time, he dropped the E at the end. It's very typical in spoken German to drop the E at the end of verbs. Jordan, you're gonna be the grandma. Ja.
Ja. Ich hoffe, dass du das Mädchen nicht im Unsinn verwirrst, Formel. So I hope that you girls will not do anything unsensible. Okay. I hope that you girls will not be confused by anything unsensible.
Fast.
And
almost. So you can tell here that she's saying, I hope, and that, because you have the subject here as you, yeah, and then when you have, I know that the plural of girl and girls is the same, but you can tell from the word before it that we're talking about one girl, because if it was more than one, she would say, die Mädchen. Yeah, so she actually is talking to the grandpa here, and she's telling the grandpa not to confuse the girl with nonsense. Again, here is the key word, is the verb that's often at the end because of the DASS here that we talked about, which brings the conjugated verb until the end of the sentence. So you always have to look ahead as if you're driving a car in German. Yeah, don't try to analyze the sentence just by reading parts of it, which forces you to listen until the very end. Actually, I like that feature about German.
Grummel.
Gut gemacht.
Mumbles, grumbles.
All right, now that we've learned a few words, let's practice a little bit. If you're watching with us live, feel free to send us any kind of answer you think we have here. But just remember that there is sort of a 5 seconds delay, so I might not see your answer in time. Yeah? All right, let's go.
Ziehen is pull, to pull.
Yeah, one at a time.
Ziehen is to pull.
All right. Ziehen.
Wahrscheinlich. Probably.
Wahrscheinlich.
Ja, Schmutz.
Ja,
Ehrlich, honest.
ehrlich.
Der Schmutz is the dirt.
Ja,
Das Dorf is the village.
gut gemacht.
Der Kuchen is the cake.
Mitbringen is to bring with.
Feiern is to celebrate. Das
Yeah.
Messer is the knife.
Und der Ehrentag, special day. Now we get to the fill in the blanks. Remember that if you see a verb here, you have to conjugate it yourself. You cannot just plug it the way it is, ja? Es gibt etwas, kein anderes Messer, das wir benutzen könnten.
Wahrscheinlich.
Es gibt wahrscheinlich kein anderes Messer, das wir benutzen könnten. Doch, ich habe eins, aber deine Mama hat ein besonderes.
Mitgebracht.
Ja, mitgebracht. Notice the conjugation of separable verbs here. The GE comes after the separable part. Sie will, dass an deinem etwas alles perfekt ist.
Ehrentag.
Ehrentag.
Ehrentag, ja. Ja, um etwas zu sein, bin ich mir auch nicht so sicher, was dieses Meiden mal betrifft.
Ehrlich.
Um ehrlich zu
My brain
sein.
also has a 5-second delay, so I'm right in step with the live YouTubers.
Ausgezeichnet. Yeah, if you're a beginner watching this, don't be scared by long sentences like that. They are still useful for you. Just remember the parts I tell you about, like the first part here. Super useful sentence, ja? Um ehrlich zu sein. Wenn ich das wüsste, würden wir jetzt alle etwas essen. Was werden Sie essen?
Kuchen.
Natürlich.
Kuchen.
Ja, alle wollen Kuchen essen, auch ich. Also, wie sagt
Feier.
man das? Ja. If you're watching this later, always pause, and if you find it too hard to figure out what the word is, wait for my hint here. You're gonna see some of the letters appear, and then maybe you'll be able to guess the word.
Der
Ehrentag.
Ja, der Ehrentag.
Ziehen.
Ziehen.
Mitbringen.
Mitbringen.
Mitbringen. Ihr seid aber schnell.
Wahrscheinlich.
Wahrscheinlich. A very long word, but a very easy word to remember if you know how it works, because it literally is true, seem, ich. So if something seems to be true, it's probable. Wahrscheinlich.
Das Messer.
Messer.
Ja, sehr gefährlich.
Ehrlich.
Ehrlich.
Das
Das Dorf.
Ja, ein sehr schönes Dorf. Ich will auch dort wohnen.
Schmutz. Der Schmutz.
Der Schmutz.
Oh. Der Kuchen.
Ja, der Kuchen.
Sehr lecker.
And yeah, and now we get to the part where we need to order the words. This is one of those challenging things in German because the word order is completely different than English. But keep listening to German, watch my videos with time, you will get the feel of it. It will sound natural and logical. So what's the first word
Sie
here?
will.
Sie
Sie
will.
will.
Sie will
Das.
Das.
das
Alles
Alles
An deinem
Ja.
Ehrentag.
an deinem Ehrentag
Perfekt ist.
Perfekt ist.
perfekt ist. Das war falsch.
Okay,
Ja.
we were all in agreement that that was what it was supposed to be, right?
Yeah, sometimes
will.
it could be correct grammatically, but we have to remember what they actually said in the game, which, there's sometimes two versions are correct, but one is more common than the other. So it's nice to get used to how, most Germans would order the words. Ja. Sie will also.
Sie will,
Das.
dass an deinem Ehrentag alles perfekt ist.
Richtig.
Super.
Show off.
Ausgezeichnet.
Yeah. And for everybody watching, whether you're a beginner or not, I know a lot of people take a while to get used to this conjugation of the verb to want because it sounds like the verb will in English. Yeah. So it never means will in German. Always remember that. Sie will. She wants. Yeah. So if you want something, you would say ich will.
Samir, another grammatical question. Isn't another one of those general rules that dative complements go before accusative complements? So in that case, an,
Yeah.
allen,
Yeah.
goes before alles.
Correct.
Okay. All right.
The first word is most of the time
Wenn-
easy because it's capitalized. Yeah.
Wenn ich wusste.
Wenn ich das wusste,
Yeah, when I know that. If I knew that.
if I knew that,
Wir,
We would all kicken.
Ja.
ja,
Wir würden jetzt alle Kuchen essen?
wahrscheinlich nicht.
One backwards.
Wenn ich das wusste, würden
wir,
Jetzt alle Kuchen essen.
Ja. So remember the thing
I couldn't
about
let
the
JJ
verb.
steal that
Yeah.
from me.
You saw the comma.
yeah.
The comma should have been like a clue to you. We got to the comma, we need the verb.
I know, I do it every time.
Takes a while. Habits, especially if you have like a bad habit, it takes a while to break.
es gibt
Es gibt
wahrscheinlich
kein anderes Messer.
ein anderes Messer.
It's as written. Das wir benutzen können.
Ja, das
Gave
ist
away
richtig.
the answer.
Yeah, it's a trick question.
Weißt du?
Weißt du, wo Mamas Messer ist, Rocky?
Ja.
Warum bist du so grummelig, Opa?
Ja, warum bist du so grummelig, Opa? All right, very well done. You're getting better.
Weil ich keinen Kuchen gehabt habe.
Ja, das ist einen guten Grund. Okay, warum hast du das Meidenmal, Opa?
Warum hast du das Meidenmal, Opa?
Weil das hier einmal ein Dorf von Kriegern war. Das ist alles ein schlechter Witz, Möller.
Colleen, bitteschön.
Ja, um ehrlich zu sein, bin ich mir auch nicht so sicher, was dieses Maidenmal betrifft. Yes, to be honest, I'm also not sure what the maiden feast is regarding.
Genau, so that was a small review here.
Warum hast du das Maidenmal, Opa?
Meine.
Why do you hate... Entschuldige?
Yeah.
Sorry.
So
Why...
yeah, go ahead.
Why do you hate the maiden feast, Grandpa?
Yeah, this is one of those tricky verbs here because it sounds the same when you say to have or to hate in German. You have to know from context if you're listening to this, but if you are reading it, it's really easy to distinguish because you have two S's. Yeah, makes no sense in any way for him to have a whole feast. Why would he own a whole feast? He would hate it, especially with how grumpy he is.
Hey, Samir, I have a question.
Yeah.
About the pronunciation of the maiden feast. Is it Maidenmal or Maidenmal?
Maidenmal. So remember
Maidenmal.
that the A in German is always open, ma, even if there's an I after it. Maidenmal.
Okay.
And the H just makes the A a bit longer. So instead of saying mal, mal.
And when hast means hate instead of have, there's no difference in pronunciation. The
No
S's
difference.
aren't
Yeah, there's no
pronounced
difference.
longer, like hast.
Yeah. Unless you're really, really like angry and you're really hating, you can just do it on purpose. Schatz. But then you would sound
Yeah.
like a snake.
Okay. Yeah, I think the grandpa would probably use it that way.
Yeah. Normally, you would just shout, Ich hasse das. Yeah, I've never heard it as like, Ich hasse das. Doesn't work.
Weil das hier einmal ein Dorf von Kriegern war. While this once was a village of fighters.
Because this once was a village of fighters.
Yeah.
Or warriors even.
This is another one of those very important words in German that moves the conjugated verb to the end. Yeah. And this is not war. Yeah. This is the conjugation of was.
Das ist alles ein schlechter Witz, Villa. Everything is a bad joke, Villa.
That is all a bad joke.
That too.
Du bist doch der Opa. Okay. Warum haben wir das Kriegerleben aufgegeben?
Warum haben wir das Kriegerleben aufgegeben?
Levina Kletsch und ihresgleichen. Sie meinten, dass es zu viel Blutvergießen gegeben hat, wollten einen anderen Weg gehen. Also gaben wir nach und wurden ein Dorf von Bäckern.
Ja, ich mag Bäckern. Ich mag Brot.
Warum haben wir das Kriegerleben aufgegeben? Why have we given up the warrior life?
Yeah, another very common verb in German, to give up. Though, if you're watching this, never do that. Never give up. Yeah. Aufgeben. And just like I said before, it's a separable verb. So whenever you want to create the past participle here, you add the GE right after the separable part.
Levina Klench und ihresgleichen. Levina Klench and her kind. Sie meinten, dass es zu viel Blutvergießen gegeben hat, wollten einen anderen Weg gehen. She thought that too much blood had been spilled and wanted to go another way.
Yeah, be careful here because this word can mean so many things. Could be she, or could be them, or could be formal you. So you have to look at the conjugation. We have ten at the end. So he's talking about more than one person. He's talking about the villagers that are like the grandma. So they thought, or they felt like, and notice this verb, we talked about it last time, which is to mean. It has a lot of meanings, and one of them is to think. Yeah, just to add to the confusion. So you have to know this from context. Yeah, always rely on context. And again, here with the DASS, das takes the verb until the end. Yeah, actually not this one, right? The other one, this one. And that's not a hat, that's the conjugation of the verb to have, haben.
Also gaben wir nach und wurden ein Dorf von. So we gave in, and the village was from become something.
Schon gut, schon gut. So we gave in and
Ich
became
gebe
a
auf.
village. Yeah. Notice the dashed lines here telling you that the verb is separable verb. Yeah, so to give in. So they became a what did they become?
Bakers.
Yeah, he finds it so insulting that they started baking instead of killing people. Hey Opa, willst du einen Cupcake?
Hey Opa, willst du einen Cupcake?
Ja.
Ja. Okay, weißt du, wo Mamas Messer ist?
Weißt du, wo Mamas Messer ist?
Wenn ich's wüsste, würde ich's dir nicht sagen. Ich will nichts mit diesem Schandmal zu tun haben.
Ich suche besser nach dem Messer.
Wag dich. Das habe ich mit Absicht versteckt.
Du hast was?
Och, nichts.
Okay, jetzt haben wir einen Hinweis, also.
Hey, Opa, willst du einen Cupcake? Hey, Grandpa, do you want a cupcake?
Yeah. Yes.
Weißt du, wo Mamas Messer ist? Do you know where Mom's knife is?
Wenn ich wüsste, würde ich's dir nicht sagen. If I knew that, I wouldn't tell you.
Yeah, notice how, like in any language, people get a bit lazy and they keep dropping letters, yeah? So what he actually wants to say is, wenn ich es wüsste, würde ich es dir nicht sagen. But literally nobody talks like that in Germany, so you have to get used to those dropping of letters, listen a lot to German, yeah? And also notice the dative case, a very obvious demonstration of it here. Whenever you say in English to something, I say to you. In German, you use the dative. This is why you have dir here and not dich.
Ich will nichts mit diesem Schandmal zu tun haben. I don't want to have anything to do with this shameful meal. Meal of shame.
Another thing, if you're a beginner, make sure you notice this last S here. This doesn't mean not, it means nothing. You just add an S to the verb nicht, the word nicht, and you get nothing.
Ich suche besser nach dem Messer. I am stuck.
Yeah, so in German...
ja, ich suche.
Yeah, so in German, you search or you look for towards something, nach. Because most of the time when you're searching, you are not sure where something is. Yeah, so instead of saying for something, you say towards something.
Wage dich, das habe ich mit Absicht versteckt. Steckt. I mean, yeah. You dare. I I hid that on purpose.
Ja, das ist richtig. So here we get to how to say on purpose in German. You don't say on purpose, you say with purpose. In English, obviously, with purpose means something else. But this is how it works in German. So there, I have that have I with purpose hidden. So you have two things here that are typical German. First of all, we have a reflexive verb which changes meaning. So you can see it here. Sich wagen is to dare. But also he wanted to emphasize what she would dare. This is why he started with the object of the sentence, not the subject. And then you have this rule having the conjugated verb in the second position. This is why the verb comes right after that, and then we have the subject. So technically you could also say, ich habe das mit Absicht versteckt. But that wouldn't sound as dramatic. We all know how fun drama is.
Oh.
Du hast was? You've done what?
Ach, nichts. Nothing.
Ja. Ich glaube eben nicht. Okay. Wir fragen die Mama hier.
Mama, ich habe mich gefragt, was wäre, wenn wir das Monster bekämpfen, anstatt es zu füttern?
Das klingt nach meinem Mädchen. Das ist das Beastender-Blut in ihr.
Bitte, meine Lieben, macht das nicht schwerer, als es eh schon ist.
Linda, bitteschön.
Das ist so frustrierend. That is so frustrating.
Mama, ich habe mich gefragt. Mom, I was wondering.
Yeah. So it sounds a little bit weird here to know that why is this wondering when she's using the verb to ask. This is again because it's a reflexive verb. This is a reflexive version of the verb. And when you're asking yourself, you are wondering. Yeah, you can also say, I'm asking myself, but it sounds more natural in English to say I'm wondering. In German, it sounds more natural like that.
Was wäre, wenn wir das Monster bekämpfen, anstatt es zu füttern? What would happen if we fought the monster instead of feeding it?
What if, yeah, we fight the monster instead of feeding it? So now we know there's some kind of monster in this game.
Das klingt nach mein... Oh, hello.
Sorry.
Das klingt... Is that me?
Ja, das bist du.
Okay. Das klingt nach meinem Mädchen. Das ist das beastende Blut in ihr. Beastender? Anyway. Beastender Blut in ihr. Ah, that sounds like my girl. That's the Beastender blood in her.
Bitte, meine Lieben, mach das nicht schwer, als es schon ist. Please, my darling, do not make this more difficult than it already is.
Yeah, now this sentence is a little bit confusing. I'm not sure if it's a typo or what, because the first part, she's addressing more than one person because we have the N here. So she's talking to both her daughter and her father, or maybe the father of her husband, I'm not sure. So, and then she gives a command here with the verb to do or to make, machen, yeah, but there's no T at the end, which means she is addressing one person. This could either be a typo in the game, or maybe she's just talking to the grandfather and telling him not to make it more difficult, or maybe to the body. We're not sure.
Grumbling.
Denk nach, Morelia.
Ja.
Denk nach.
All right, let's go ahead and practice a little bit more.
Feiern, just celebrate.
Feiern.
Das Dorf, the village.
Der Kuchen, the cake.
Der
Ziehen.
Ehrentag.
Oh.
The special day.
Ziehen, to pull.
Der Schmutz, the dirt.
Der Schmutz.
Ehrlich, honest.
Ehrlich gesagt.
Das
Mitbringen.
Messer. Das Messer, the knife.
Wahrscheinlich.
Ja, und wahrscheinlich habt ihr recht. Also, ja, um ehrlich zu sein, bin ich mir auch nicht so sicher, was dieses Meidenmal etwas
Trifft?
ja betrifft. Concerns or regarding. Warum haben wir das Kriegerleben?
Aufgeben.
Wie konjugiert man das?
Gegaben.
Aufgegeben.
Aufgegeben. Sie etwas, dass es zu viel Blutvergießen gegeben hat, wollten einen anderen Weg gehen.
Meinst?
Meinten.
Sie meinten,
Oh,
ja.
meint. Ja.
Also etwas wir etwas und wurden ein Dorf von.
Geben wir nach.
Gaben. So he was telling a story. You basically have to remember from context that he was telling a story here. Wenn ich das wüsste, würden wir jetzt alle etwas essen.
Kuchen.
Kuchen.
Ja, sie werden einen Kuchen essen.
Wahrscheinlich.
Wahrscheinlich.
Ziehen.
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 Der Ehrentag.
Der Ehrentag.
Das Messer.
Das Messer ist gefährlich.
Ehrlich.
Ich bin ehrlich.
Das Dorf.
Das Dorf ist schön.
Der Kuchen.
Der Kuchen ist zu süß.
Der Schmuck.
Der Schmuck.
Der Schmutz.
Schmutz. I said jewelry by mistake.
Feiern.
Feiern. Sounds like fire.
Mitbringen.
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 Ich will nicht.
Ich will nichts mit S.
Nicht.
Ich will nichts.
Mit diesem Schandmal zu tun haben.
Ich will nichts mit diesem Schandmal zu tun haben. Yeah, if you're reading
does
with
have-
us, yeah.
Something like that.
If you're reading with us, make sure you scream at your screen. These emotions will help you actually remember these sentences. Ja, was sagt die
Mhm.
Mutter?
Denk nach, Morelia, denk nach.
Ja. Denk nach, Morelia, denk nach.
Warum hast du das Maidenmal,
Ich
Opa?
habe dich nicht gehört.
Warum hast du das Maidenmal, Opa?
Meidenmal.
Meidenmal.
Warum hast du das Meidenmal, Opa?
Weißt du, wo Mamas
Wo Mamas
Ja?
Messer ist?
Messer
Messer
ist?
ist? Rocky, weißt du, wo Mamas Messer ist, Rocky?
The same one.
Ach ja.
I think I know this one. Weißt du, wo Mamas
Das
Messer
habe ich
ist?
gar nicht bemerkt. That's probably a bug in my app. Should fix that probably.
Tricky Samir.
Na gut, wir reden jetzt ein bisschen mit der Oma.
Nein.
Levina?
Was ist los, Mädchen?
Die Oma ist so süß. Kann ich über das Meidenmal fragen?
Kann ich über das Meidenmal fragen?
Hast du in der Meidenausbildung nicht aufgepasst?
Hm. Was ist Mogchotra?
Was ist Mogchodra?
Der letzte in einer langen, vornehmen Reihe großer Moks, die unsere Ländereien besuchen.
Vornehm?
Naja, alles, was so lange lebt, wird irgendwann vornehm. Ich meine, schau mich an.
Und warum ich?
Warum ich?
In jedem Dorf, das von einem Mok besucht wird, wählen die Dorfbewohner die Maiden aus, die die besten Seiten ihres Dorfes repräsentieren. Bei dir habe ich keine Ahnung.
Ja,
Mogchodra greift andere Dörfer an?
Natürlich. Wolkenheim hatte sein Meidenmal gestern. Daher wissen wir, dass er als nächstes hierher kommt. Es ist echt schwer, mit ihnen gleichzuziehen. Tolle Arbeit mit den Federn.
okay. Linda, bitteschön.
habe ich in der Küche gelassen? Nein. Did I leave it in the kitchen? No.
Lavina?
Jordan?
Was ist los, Mädchen? What is going on, girls?
Yeah, she's talking. You have to know from context that she's talking to one person. Yeah, so girl, one girl.
Kann ich über das Maidenmal fragen? Can I ask you about the maiden feast?
Hast du in der Meidenausbildung nicht aufgepasst? Wait, so have you not paid attention in the like mating like maidens?
Some kind of
so
training.
like
This is
an education
something.
thing? Yeah, maiden training. Yeah.
This is something in the game. Apparently, they train girls there to something. We're not sure.
Was ist Mog? Boy, how do you say that?
Mogchotra.
Chotra?
This is just a name. It's not even German. It's just a character in the game.
Okay. What is this thing with the weird name?
Der letzte in einer langen, vornehmen Reihe großer Mocks, die unsere Ländereien besuchen. So wait, the last in a, hold on. So the last in a long time takes a great, hold on.
Let me
Okay,
help
so
you out with that. It's a bit a complicated sentence here. So the last and the long distinguished, you can know that this is distinguished because it has the prefix before, yeah, and take. When you take something before, it comes before, so it's distinguished. Yeah, this is how it helps you remember that. And then you have a row or a line, you know, things coming one after the other. And Mogs is just, again, this is something in the game. So it's not part of German. She's talking about some kind of type of creature that are visiting our lands.
Vorname? Noble.
Yeah. Noble or distinguished?
Ja, alles, was so lange lebt, wird irgendwann vornehmen. Yes, everything that lived a long time ago will something distinguished. Was ist irgendwann?
At some point. Eventually.
Will at some point be distinguished.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Ich meine, oh wait, that's the grandma, isn't it?
Yeah. Jordan?
Ich meine, schau mich an, lacht. I mean, look at me, and then she laughs.
Yeah.
In jedem Dorf, das von einem großen Mob besucht wird, wählen die Dorfbewohner die Meiden aus, die besten Seiten ihres Dorfes heraus repräsentieren. In every village, the Great Mog searches for a maiden who lives in the village and who best represents the village.
Almost. You got really the difficult part. Let me explain it a bit more. One of the tricky things here is the separable verb to pick, because it starts here, it's not actually pointed out, and it ends here. Auswählen. It literally means to select, which means to pick. Yeah. So literally in every village that from a big Mog is visited. So this is the indirect form of address. So the Mog is actually doing the visiting here. Choose the villages. So again, the second position of the conjugated verb. So all of this is part one. Yeah. So the villages, they choose the girls or the maids, or they pick them. They pick the ones that the first that here is actually referring to the girls, yeah, that represent the best size of the village. So the first that is referring to the maidens here, and the second one is referring to the sides. This is why we see die, that, if you want, or that, the. In English, you would say that's the. In German, there's this repetition here. Yeah, there's a missing sentence here. I think Velas asks, why me? And the grandma says?
Bei dir ich habe keine Ahnung. Why you? I have no idea.
Yeah, so that was funny because she doesn't think that her granddaughter represents the village.
Mog Chothra greift andere Dörfer an. Mog Chothra attacks other villages.
Remember that in German there's no continuous, so you can get it from context. So she could be asking if It's attacking right now or in general? Jordan?
Entschuldigung. Natürlich, Wolkenheim hatte sein Maidenmahl gestern. Of course.
This is a name, yeah? It's a name.
Yeah. Oh, of course, Wolkenheim had the maiden feast yesterday.
Yeah.
Had his maiden feast yesterday.
Yeah. It's a name that means cloud home, but you can also just say the same name in German.
Daher wissen wir, dass als nächstes hinterherkommt. We think that he's coming here next. He's coming here next.
Yeah. Be careful here. There's no T. Then it would mean behind, yeah? So here.
Ist echt schwer, mit ihnen gleich zu ziehen. Tolle Arbeit mit den Fendern. He is really difficult with he's really difficult to catch up with. He works like a feather.
Yeah, so we started with the ES, which means it. She's talking about the situation in general. It is difficult to catch up or to keep up with them. Yeah, them here. So great job or great work with the feathers. Notice here as well, whenever you have plural in the dative case, you add an N at the end. All right, let's ask the last question to the grandma here, so we end this conversation.
Okay, ich denke, ich weiß jetzt alles, was ich über das Maidenmal wissen wollte.
Du musst einfach nur hübsch in deinem Kleid aussehen. Wir kümmern uns um den Rest.
Ich suche besser nach dem Messer.
Und beeil dich. Wenn wir zu spät sind, wirst du nicht ausgewählt und deine Familie wird entehrt.
Es ist ganz sicher hier irgendwo.
All right, let's translate the last few sentences. Claudine.
Okay, ich denke, ich weiß jetzt alles, was ich über das Maidenmal wissen wollte. Okay, I think I know everything that I wanted to know about the maiden feast.
Yeah. Again, here with the subordinate clause, takes the verb until the end. So I know this could be confusing for some people. It is for everybody who starts learning German. You will get used to it. Just notice it every time, and this is why every time I point it out. So repetition will help you make it easier. Jordan?
Du musst einfach nur hübsch in deinem Kleid aussehen. Wir kümmern uns um den Rest. You have to simply see you have to simply look pretty in your clothing, and we'll take care of the rest.
Yeah. Dress, just to be exact. You just have to look pretty in your dress, and we'll take care of the rest.
Ich suche besser nach dem Messer. I better look for the knife.
Ja, es reimt sich. It rhymes. Really nice sentence here. Jordan?
Und baldig, wenn wir zu spät sind, wirst du nicht ausgewählt und deine Familie wird entehrt. And if you are late, you will dishonor your family.
So she's actually giving her a command here, beeil dich. A very common thing you would hear in any kind of family or among friends. Hurry! This is how you say hurry up. Beeil dich. And the way you pronounce it, you have to add a small hiccup between the first two letters and the rest. Beeil. Yeah? So hurry up. If you are late, you will not be chosen and your family will be dishonored. Yeah, we're still not sure.
This is France.
Yeah, this is for the mother. I'm just gonna read it here. We're still not sure where the knife is. Es ist ganz sicher hier irgendwo. The mother is still wondering. It's definitely here somewhere. And we will probably find a stupid knife next time. For now, that was our stream for today. Thank you for watching. I hope you had fun. And remember to ask me your questions in the comment below whenever you watch this again. And try to not just watch passively, actually pause and see if you understand every sentence. Don't just skim through it. Yeah. And if you want to participate with us to be part of the video, become a patron. You will get a lot of material for you to actually practice at home, vocabulary list and more exercises other than the ones we saw here, as well as games like crossword puzzles with the words we've used, word search puzzles. And yeah, if you really want a lot more help though, I can always give you private lessons, either traditional ones or ones like this with a game where we just play one-on-one. And yeah, nobody sees us, we just play together. Hopefully that will be helpful to you. I know some of you can find learning a bit boring, and this is what I'm trying to do it with a game here, to keep everything a little bit fun and helpful and memorable. All right, I hope to see you all next time. Remember to like this video to help me keep doing these things. These things take a lot of effort to do. And share it with all your friends who are learning German, especially if you're taking some kind of German class. Your classmates will appreciate it. Also, make sure to subscribe so you can catch us next time live and talk to us on chat. Maybe you can give us some of these answers, yeah? Click that bell button as well so you can get notified and get here on time. We are very punctual. We start really quickly. All right, I'll see you all next time. Tschüss.
Tschüss, bis nächstes Mal.
Tschüss.
Später.